That's right. It's Bad Weather Fans, episode number 299. Mike Biseglia, Alex Benesowitz. We are coming to you from New Jersey and New York, Long Island and Jersey. Just started a little differently. We are on Odyssey as well. You want to check us on out. We are in the midst of the All-Star break. Second half of the season going to start in a couple of days. Nets and Knicks get things rolling. Feels like it's been a million years. And I think for both franchises, some excitement heading into the second half for different reasons. Knicks, of course, adding some free agents and trades, and we'll get into that for a second. Going into the second half of the season, making their title push, third in the Eastern Conference right now, and the Nets losing, but doing it with the kids and tanking, but not full out tank, but still tanking. So you can't really get mad at them. They're not wizard tanking or Pacer tanking, although Indiana got the win, but they're tanking, Alex. So it's good to see you. It's been a minute, and looking forward to get the second half of the season roll.
Yeah, good luck in your tank. I gotta say,
thank you.
I wish you well in your tank.
Thank you.
Tank commander, because I know every team has a tank commander who's like the worst player on the team that does dumb shit every game and is like, oh, that's our tank commander. Like Knicks had Lou Robinson, things like that. Guys like that. Who was yours?
I guess that's a really interesting question. The odd part about the Nets, right, from a tanking perspective is they have 5 rookies on the roster, and they're playing all 5 rookies, some more than the others. And for other teams, typically you have 1 rookie, maybe 2 rookies that you're trying to develop. So there's more tank commanders, as you say.
Right.
So it's like odd. You can't, I can't have the Nets tank and then be like, oh, we're not playing Nolan Traore, Yegor Doman, and Ben Saroff or whatever tonight. Like the whole point of having rookies is for them to play. So you can't tank with them. So the tank, obviously when MPJ doesn't play, that helps. But the commander, I don't know if maybe Terrence Mann.
We got D-Rock in Brooklyn with an early comment. Ben Saroff is our tank commander. He's the worst pick of the Flatbush
so
5.
far, yeah, I guess. But he's still a rookie, so you want him to develop. So you can't have him not play.
Well, then he's a good commander,
I know, but it has to be a veteran, in my opinion.
Right. It's got to be someone who's just been a journeyman, nobody that just always messed, like a Lou Robinson.
Yeah. And by the way, shout out to me because Dolan J. Trump, who only cares about himself. Only cares about his fantasy
shirt,
team.
By the way. Relax. Look at that.
It looks good. He only cares about his fantasy team. And I've been telling him for 2 months, pick up Nolan Traore. He is going to be the rookie that is going to give you the most value. Oh, no. Now listen. The last week and a half, the kid's now averaging 18 and 7 and is looking like the best rookie of the bunch. And now he's the highest ceiling in fantasy. And he has them because I told him to get ahead of that. So thank you to me. But that's what I'm looking forward to, Alex. The second half of the season is tanking and letting this young backcourt of the Nets just continue to develop. And we'll see where the things fly on May 10th.
Yeah. I mean, you got to keep losing, right? I mean, that's what, Adam Silver hates or says he hates. That's what everybody hates. And I understand it, but I also understand from a Nets perspective, like this is the best business for you right now. I mean, at some point, you got to go for it at some point. Maybe next year is the year where you can actually try.
They will next year because it's their pick swapped with the Rockets. So they have their pick swapped. So Houston theoretically should be better.
But if they didn't have that pick swap, would they tank again next year?
I can't answer that. Maybe.
See, that's just loser. That's just.
But I don't know. But I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I think also depends on what happens in the lottery, right? Like if the Nets strike gold and win the lottery. Nets strike gold and win the lottery. It also changes how they view free agency and how teams feel free. Like Giannis might think of the Nets differently next year if the Nets go out and win the lottery. It might change his viewpoint of, let me come to Brooklyn. They got these guards in Traore and Doman that started to play well. They just landed the number 1 pick in Peterson from Kansas. Okay, they've got all this other salary cap maneuver that they can use. Things change fast. Now they need some luck. I mean, they need some luck. They need some luck on May 10th. But it can change the way you view how you're going to go about it into next season too, depending on what happens on May 10th.
That's fair.
It is.
It's very fair. It's just weird because this draft is kind of deep. There's not that one Cooper Flag or Zion. There's not like one guy. It's like there's a lot of guys at the top of this draft that you want to go for.
Right.
And so I understand the tanking. I think it's the way the Wizards are tanking. I think that's a bunch of losers. But the way the Nets are tanking, you're just bad and have a bunch of young players that are playing. And if you lose, it's better for the team. You know what I'm saying? Like that's all it is.
I mean, when they lost to the Pacers literally played nobody. I mean, they
played everybody versus the Knicks and went as hard as they could, and then they played the Nets and benched everybody.
And they still beat the Nets. But the Nets that night, they also didn't play Noah Clowney, Michael Porter Jr., and Nick Claxton. So it's not, in relative to what Indiana did,
right? It
didn't look as bad, but it's still at the same time, that's like regular tanking where you're not playing those three guys. I mean, that's a healthy part of their roster. Some of their better players, MPJ, they are their best player. Their starting front court was essentially out. Their 3, 4, and 5 didn't play.
Right.
They're still tanking. It's just not Washington tanking. And I say this. I put this out on YouTube yesterday. I don't have Twitter anymore, so the video is not available there. I do not care about the NBA problem right now, and they have one. But I personally do not care. I care about what happens on lottery day, and God bless my Nets to have some fucking luck on that day. And that's what I care about right now, honestly.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, yeah, I mean, the NBA does have a big problem, and the Nets, but like I said, the Nets are not tanking in a way that's like disgusting and ruining the league. They're just a young team that's bad.
Right. And they're developing and learning together when their starting 5 is 2 19-year-olds, a 21-year-old at the small forward, and then MPJ and Clax, right? Like, I that's why it's been fun for me, like watching Nolan Traore go out there, put up 13 and 13, and you can see his growth. First couple of weeks of the season, he couldn't even stay in the NBA. They had to move in the G League. Now he's coming up, and he has a lot of turnovers, but in a way you're okay with it because he's getting into the paint. He's worked on his floater. His shot looks a little bit better. He's creating open jumpers for his teammates. If he had decent teammates, he'd have even more assists, but they're missing every shot. But it's exciting. Like, I'm watching it, and I'm going, they got something here. This is cool. Yeah. This is more fun than I've had in a while. Like Doman and Traore, like maybe they got a backcourt. They got a long way to go, but to start, it's fun.
At the very least, you got guys that, you could develop that can be fun, that you can trade for good players like the Knicks did with RJ and Quickly, and they got OG Anunoby. Like maybe a couple of years you trade those guys for.
There's all different ways to do it.
Yeah.
There's no one. There's no. Sorry to cut you off, but I think it's important. Yeah. Like there's not one correct way to a path to the championship.
You won't say the other phrase. There isn't one way to like skin a cat or whatever that one is.
No, but there's
because you have a cat. You don't want to skin cats.
But but truthfully, like you look at all the teams that win, it's not one magic recipe of you have to do it this way.
Right.
The Knicks did it a certain way with drafting and then making trades and making good free agent signings. The Thunder did it away with compiling draft picks, making a trade for Shea, and then using those draft picks to get depth. The Nuggets got lucky in the second round, and their scout. Congrats to their scouting; they found the Joker, but they got him in the second round. Jamal Murray was the 7th, 8th pick in the draft out of Kentucky, so they landed really well there with a mid lottery pick. There's just not one right or wrong answer. I think people fall in love with it has to be this way. You could do it 1,000 different ways. Just got to do it right. It's still hard.
What the Knicks did was not. I mean, they tanked twice in the last 20 years, and people made the jokes before the Knicks got good. Knicks have been tanking for all this time, and it's like, no, they weren't. They literally tanked. They tried to lose twice. Once to try to get Towns, ended up Porzingis, and Porzingis ended up being traded. That started this run, and then the rebuild that led to this run. So tanking worked out for them there. Then they tanked for Zion, which ended up with RJ Barrett, which ended up being the best player of the three, that ended up being equipped with Quickly later in that draft on a trade that was for Mark. That was a pick sort of. They moved it around a couple times during the draft, but it ended up being Marcus Morris trade for that pick, ended up leading to Emmanuel Quickly. Then you package RJ and Quickly after developing them for OG Anunoby, and now you have yourself a championship contender when you get lucky on a Jalen Brunson signing that was supposed to be just the starting point guard that becomes a superstar starting point guard in the All-Star game 2 years in a row. So
exactly,
you're right. There is more than one way to skin a cat, Mike. There is more than one way.
The Nets had
to skin Leon.
Right? Great culture. Got the 6th seed. We're not talking about cats. Got the 6th seed.
Mike's cat is Leon.
And then Kyrie and KD signed. They didn't remember when Kyrie and KD signed. They didn't lose anything, but D'Angelo Russell. They just added them to a team that was already a playoff team that lost in the first round, and then they became a title contender. So yeah, there's all different ways to do it, and the Knicks are in the midst of it, and it's going to be fascinating to watch what happens in the second half of the season. Definitely my blood pressure will be amped up now. It's kind of getting to the part of the time where the wins and losses matter a little bit more, but still, once they get to the playoffs, will be the true barometer of it.
Right.
And I heard this. It's not an original thought, but I think it's a fair point. Evan Roberts said it on WFAN, and I think he's kind of right about the Knicks in their first half of the season under Mike Brown. I thought it was astute that their highs have been high and their lows have been lower than what they had with Tibbs, right? Like when they're looking their best, it seems like they function on a higher level than they did last year. But then at the same time, when it's bad, it looks worse than it ever did last year with everything that was happening with Tibbs. And I don't know if that's a culmination of him playing guys more minutes and Mike Brown probably experimenting more with lineups and being a little bit different with the way he wants to go and adding more depth. So we've seen a little bit of the variety. And I think the true test will just be, what shows up in the playoffs when, let's say it's the second round, the Knicks are the 2 seed and the Cavs are the 3 seed, and it's 2-2 game 5 at the Garden. Like that's when it's going to release what matters. Right. But I think that's kind of what we've seen from the Knicks in the first half of the season.
Right. It's possible to be excited by the Knicks winning in the regular season while also keeping it in perspective and not going crazy and over the top. Like you win 5 in a row, we're going to the finals. You lose 4 in a row. Oh, we're the worst team. Let's trade everybody, fire the coach. This team sucks. There's a way to be even keeled. And just because you're not going like crazy with every win, but you're excited, doesn't mean that you're a fake fan. And just because you're not, you're panicking and whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like you just got to stay in the middle. Just right now, stay in the middle. This team, as long as their record in a holistic approach, as long as their record is good and you're in the top 3 or 4, they're going to be fine. And it's about the playoffs. As long as they stay there. If they don't, then you can panic. If they drop down to 5, 6, 7, then holy shit, we got a problem here. Let's panic. But if they stay in the top 3 where they are, they can easily get to 1. They can easily get to 2. There's a lot of season left. But at the end of the day, stay in that top 3, stay in that little bucket there, and they'll be totally fine. And you just got to chill out. Like, just chill out.
The Eastern Conference is better than I anticipated it would be this season. I think Detroit's better than we thought. Detroit took a really big leap. Again, they have to prove it in the playoffs. They haven't gotten out of they only made it to the first round last year. So, let's assume they're the 1 seed, most likely, with 5, 6 Pistons, games up on the Celtics.
Yeah, haven't won a playoff series since 2008. It's almost been 20 years. And
they got to go out and win it.
They got to show us that they can actually do something, because a lot of this talk from Pistons fans of they're beating the Knicks by 30, it sounds so similar. So similar to last year where the Knicks can't beat the Cavs. They can't beat the Celtics. They can't beat the Thunder. Cavs going to get out of the second round. Knicks beat the Celtics twice on their home floor in the first 2 games and won that series easily. And then they didn't even face the Thunder because they couldn't get to the finals. You know what I'm saying? So, and then the Pacers took the Thunder to 7, and they only really beat them because Halliburton tore his Achilles in game 7 early. So at the end of the day, the regular season means something, but it doesn't mean everything. So congrats to the Pistons on winning some regular season games. Thursday is their Super Bowl, of course. When the Knicks open the second half of the season, they're very excited. They take regular season games very seriously because, they haven't won a playoff series in almost 20 years, like I said. So, it's going to be fun. What a fun time for the Pistons.
It's the same guys. It's the same process as then the Knicks get to the Eastern Conference Finals and they're all ready for their NBA Finals appearance, and they couldn't get out of the round.
I mean, it happens, but
it's
a little different than winning a second round playoff series. No one expected you to win against the defending champions, and then so you're excited that you got further than you've been in 20 years. Then winning a couple regular season games when you haven't proven it at all in the playoffs.
No, they got to prove it. I mean, Detroit has to prove it in the playoffs. Right. They got to win a series. Who knows if they're? I mean, the way that things are lined up now, they wouldn't even be playing the Knicks in the first round. But there's a lot of shuffling and moving that can happen. I mean, the Cavs are the 4 seed and they're 34-21, right? And they're a game behind the Knicks, who are a half game behind the Celtics. I mean, I've said it. I'm on the record of saying it. I think Cleveland got so much better when they added James Harden. I think they added
on paper, yes,
and so far they're winning. I mean, they haven't lost games in a while. They're 34-21. Remember, they were like hovering around 500 at whatever it was, 19-19. I mean, they're winning basketball games left and right. And I know the narrative of Harden not being good in the playoffs, and he's been fine. He just hasn't been awesome. But you pair him next to Donovan Mitchell, and now you have an opportunity where he doesn't have to be the main dude in the playoffs for me. And the pressure's kind of back on both of them. I love the addition. I think for the Cavs, yes, does it have bigger blow up possibility? Of course it does. But it also at the same time gives them the ability to have a much higher ceiling. He's a better player than Garland. I mean, Garland, younger, upside, all of it, if you're trying to build a team long term. So I think for the Clippers, that makes sense. But in a short playoff series, you can give me James Harden next to Donovan Mitchell. I feel a lot more better about the Cavs' chances than I did before. I just do, and I really want. I want a net. I want the Nets, but I know that's not happening. I want Knicks Cavs in the playoffs. I think to me that would be a very fun.
I'm not worried. Honestly,
series.
I'd be excited to face James Harden in the playoffs because I know that he's eventually going to quit, like he does every year. So I'm not worried about that.
I don't think he's going to quit this year. I'm not. I have no evidence to back that up. Other than you get traded
legacy spot. You're saying legacy spot right now.
You can't 2 months into being a Cav quit like that. That is too much. And
next year he can quit.
Next year he can quit. But this year I think that's even extreme for him. Now you're going to say he doesn't perform, or you don't think he can make clutch baskets or has turnovers or everything else that comes with playing basketball. Okay, fine. But I don't think he's going to quit right here in the middle of the season. And I respect him for saying what he did in the post game, whenever it was, where he's like, it's not about building relationships or whatever you sent me, Alex. It's not about loyalty.
Oh, with Harden,
it's about me.
Business.
And I at least respect that he was honest about it and didn't lie and try to deflect. Like, this is on the media. This is you guys.
Harden said, man, it's a business. I don't care. There's no loyalty, kind of a thing. So I get it.
I like that. At least he's honest.
I respect that he said it. Yes, I respect that he put it on wax and he said it. But at the end of the day, Harden's going to quit. But I just want to get to this comment real quick because I wanted to talk about this anyway. D-Rock in Brooklyn said, Alex, are you satisfied with what the Knicks did at the deadline, or did they need to do more to bolster their roster? I was very excited by what they did at the deadline. I think it was a masterclass of moving assets and doing what you could with what you had. And they didn't go crazy, and James Dolan didn't go all nuts and give up the farm for Giannis. They gave up as much as they could, and they drew their line, and that was it. And I love that they did that, and they learned their lesson. Dolan learned his lesson. I love that Leon Rose made the moves to get Jose Alvarado. I love that they also were trying to trade for Sohan, and then they ended up getting him on the buyout market, which is awesome, which bolsters their bench now. And a guy that's an agitator. Both Jose Alvarado and Sohan are agitators, and they're going to get in the faces of other teams. Just like everybody said, we need guys who could fight. You don't need guys who could fight. You just need guys who are going to stand up for the Knicks on the floor. You don't need to throw blows. You don't need to do that dumb shit that the 90s Knicks did that got them suspended, that ruined their runs every single season. What you got was guys who are going to stand up for their teammates when they get fouled really hard and do what they got to do and keep the guys like Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, Mitchell Robinson, Towns, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges. Those guys can stay out of the fights because these guys can get in the faces of them and take the text and if they get kicked out of the game, they can survive. And then you get Deuce McBride healthy for the playoffs, and away we go. And Jordan Clarkson will be fine eventually. I'm just very excited for how this Knicks team is. They're deep, they're loaded, they're experienced, they're ready to win it all. And if it's not now, then I don't know when it's ever going to be, because right now is the season, either this year or next year. And after that, I don't know what's going to happen, but I do know that the time is now.
The time is definitely now. And as you said, if it doesn't happen this year or next year, that's why all those draft picks that they got from Mikal become even more valuable, because you don't know where the organization's going to be. Guys are going to get older. They could easily
pivot and do something great and stay good, but at the same time, they might not. Like
they might not.
Good point. Yeah,
it doesn't feel like in 3 years Karl Anthony Towns is here. I have a hard time imagining that. I have a hard time imagining.
Yeah,
exactly. And I also think you have to remember, the Knicks didn't have the assets to get Giannis. I know it's hard to fathom, but it just wasn't possible this year. And that's why I think, to me, that Giannis waited was more of a less about Leon Rose, and I think he did a really good job with the trades. But that he didn't go all in for Giannis is more of an indictment that they just couldn't do it. It just wasn't possible.
Yeah,
like I said, if you're the Milwaukee Bucks, there's no value in Karl Anthony Towns. There's just no value.
Right.
Wait a year, you have more draft capital. We'll see what happens. I think if the Knicks don't make it to the finals, I think they'll try to find a way now with more draft capital to get Giannis to the Knicks. I think that feels safe to me, especially if Giannis is going to move on, unless Cam Thomas makes him super excited about
Well,
staying
how
there,
about
which
Cam
is,
Thomas, man? I told you, man.
well,
I
this seemed
know.
pretty
Yeah,
obvious that he was
he
going
was.
to do that.
Yeah,
He's a
he
good
was.
player. He could go. It was done with the Nets.
I know.
He's not he's a
He's a
good player.
microwave scorer.
He can get out there. He can
Awesome.
get hot, and you can. And it's perfect for Giannis to see that and get excited about. But like since Cam's been gone, it's been awesome for me to watch Traore get 30 plus minutes and get even more development and have the ball in his hands
Right.
and get it to other people. And instead of like for me as a Net fan watching Cam Thomas hold the ball, take a bad shot, not get back on defense. Now you can blame the Nets, you can blame Cam. However, we got here. It was time to move on. The divorce was ready.
Right.
So, I'm out here and I get to watch these young guards play. Like, that's great. And I want Cam to do well. I have no hard feelings. I want him to go to the Bucks and play well and resurrect his career. That would make me happy for him. I want to see him because he didn't get the justice he deserved, like with what the Nets early on. He didn't get the opportunity that he needed. So I'm not surprised that he went out there and scored that. I personally don't think it's sustainable. I don't think he can do that kind of stuff all the time. But again, fuel him. I get it. If somebody said, "Hey, Mike Biseglia, you can't do this," I'd say, you know what? I'm going to prove you wrong. So I totally respect it and get it. So I wish the best.
Yeah, no, I just Cam Thomas is just like he's just a hooper, and that's just what I've always liked him because I just know like I didn't like him when he came back on the day after Valentine's Day, 30-point comeback at the Garden.
His
Didn't
moments.
like that very much, but he is just a hooper. And even if you dislike the Nets like I do and don't like players on the team, like you as a basketball fan, you can't watch him play offensive basketball and be like, this guy, I can't stand watching this guy. He's just that good when he's on. Like obviously there's times where he was lazy because he was done with the franchise and et cetera, et cetera. I'm not going there, but like I'm just saying when he is motivated and he is playing well, there's not a lot of players in the NBA that are like him. That
I agree.
That score from anywhere on the floor, so that's it.
I agree. My pushback is though that's only 1 out of 5 times, and when he's not doing that, and you have to watch him miss every time and hold the ball, it's frustrating.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you see those moments, sure. But like Fulton from Mighty Ducks, 1 out of 5. The other 4 he's missing, and when he's not doing that, then it sucks, and then it's not fun for everybody around you.
Yeah, it's the Mike Woodson offense. I used to call it the chuck it up and pray offense.
Yeah,
just like there's no organization, just shoot it and then hope it goes in. That's all. Who cares? Just shoot it.
Right.
Right.
So there's some of that.
Yeah. All right, you want to get to some comments here?
Yeah, let's get to some comments and then we'll wrap it up, and then hopefully, possibly next week is episode 300. We'll see. Yeah, let's go for it.
All right, so D-Rock in Brooklyn has been going in here on these comments. Thank you so much. And he goes, compete for the 2027 playoffs or trade Claxton and MPJ in the offseason for assets and develop young players. Marks will choose the latter, and that's the right choice. What do you think, Mike?
I think for them next season, they will be competing, as I mentioned, because they don't have their own pick. It's going to be swapped with Houston, and you would think that Houston's going to be better. So they have a first round pick, but it's not their own, right? You have another year of the lottery, another top, let's say, hopefully top pick. And then you have these younger kids that are now in their 20s starting to play with some free agency money. Yeah, next year is going to be about trying to probably, again, depending on what happens in the lottery, I think next year for them is make the play-in. I think that's the goal. And then the next year after that, a real playoff team. And then, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think this is the first true year of the rebuild. Like they are in it. So yeah, I think next year goal, especially without the pick, would be to try to make the playoffs and just do the best you can.
Got it. And then we have Nets fans, keep up the good work, guys. Hope all is well. Yes, hope all is well. Thank you very much. And thanks for the comment.
Thank you.
Let's see some other ones. We had a bunch from D-Rock in Brooklyn.
I agree with this big time.
Which one? This one?
This is the dream scenario for a Knick hater.
D-Rock in Brooklyn. Good theater will be 76ers in the first round, Cavs in the second round, Detroit in the Eastern Conference Finals. Oh, for a Knicks run?
I think for a net, for me that wants to see the toughest path. Now, clearly, I mean, the Knicks destroyed the 76ers before the All-Star break. That didn't have Embiid, didn't have Paul George, so it's not the full roster or whatever. But they still destroyed them in Philly. like to me, if there's a first round matchup, and I don't think the Knicks would lose to Philly, but I think it would be a harder path than, let's say, a Miami, an Orlando, an Atlanta. Like if you're gauging those first round teams, you can't tell me that they're better than the Sixers in a first round matchup. At least there's something there, and there's some nastiness. Like the teams would definitely get into it.
Right.
I feel there's a better ability for an upset if the Sixers fully healthy, which they never are, get their shit together and make a little run for one round, as opposed to the Hawks, who I just don't think would have a chance, or the Heat, who would have no chance.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm taking Knicks in 6 in all 3 series, so I'm not really concerned. I think the Knicks can beat all 3, and it'll be great theater, like you said, and it'll be like D-Rock said. But I'm not worried. I just got to be honest. Like this is the year, and I'm not usually like this. Like my guy Jeremy on Twitter, Jeremy Unplugged, he's got a pretty big account, and we go back and forth sometimes, and he says like, you're the most positive Knick fan I've ever met. We just started following each other. I'm like, you should have seen me a couple years ago. People have said that I was the most negative Knicks fan ever, and now I'm the most positive Knick fan ever. And honestly, I just go by what the layout of the land is, you know what I'm saying? And I just try to be honest. And honestly, like right now, I'm 41 years old, and this is the best team they've had since the 90s. Is better than the Melo years by far, and even the best Melo years. This is a better team than any of those teams. And I'm just going to enjoy it, and I'm going to be positive, because you know what I say doesn't affect the court. I could say the Knicks are winning the championship. It doesn't mean if they don't win, it's not because of what I said. So I'm going to be positive, and I'm going to speak it into existence, like LeVar Ball once said, and I'm going to do what I can to try to will them to a championship in my brain. And you know what? I'm going to be happy throughout the ride. I'm not going to be stressed until the playoffs. I'm not going to be stressed until they're up against elimination, God forbid. I'm just going to run and love the ride and root for them like crazy and just have a great time. And I've gone through hell and back with this team. And I always tell this story that I grew up in the 90s, and the first time I ever saw the Knicks bad was in the movie Eddie. So then with Whoopi Goldberg, when she became the coach of the Knicks as a fan, you know, and that was in the 90s when that movie came out. It was just like shocking. And then little did I know, after the 90s, I was in for some hell. So, you know, it is what it is. I'm just enjoying this ride, Mike. And I know, like you, with the Harden and Durant and Kyrie Nets, you were just enjoying the ride, and like this is it. And like you were stressed. I think you were like way more stressed than I am, because it was more of a shorter window. I feel like with that Nets team, like you even felt it, even though you didn't think that they would all leave within a year, but you knew that it was a shorter window based on their age. You know what I'm saying? So like, I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that's why there's pressure, right? You just don't know how fast these things change. Like in my head, when they lost to the Bucks in 7 in the second round, I said, we'll be back. I mean, this team
have one more year, right? You thought at least
we'll be
year.
back. I mean, they've got Kyrie. Remember, they traded for Harden mid-season that year.
Yeah.
It was a weird year because there were no fans in the stands. It was just a weird season altogether. And I said, okay, they're going to have a full training camp under them. They now have Harden, Kyrie, and Durant. This team's going to make some run. They're going to have a chance. In my head, I was like, they just got to stay healthy. But of course, a lot of things changed, where there was a mandate with COVID that caused a lot of friction between Kyrie and Harden. Harden then eventually demanded a trade. It then eventually trickled into Ben Simmons getting here, which then led to whatever, right? All of it. So you just don't know. Things change fast, man. Like I don't expect the Knicks not to make the finals and Jalen Brunson's demanding a trade. I don't think that's happening. But things change fast. Things move quick. I mean, things pivot. I think that's the one thing I will take away from sports is you think you have something forever. And I give you credit if you want to enjoy the moment, because you know that these moments don't come around very often where you have an opportunity to win a title and you're one of the teams that's in the mix to do it. So I totally get that. You know, I don't think there's a guarantee, like Tommy Boy, like a guaranteed piece of shit on the box or whatever. Like there's no guarantee you can do it, but there's an opportunity and you have it. So you have to relish it. You have to take advantage of it. So what I said, I don't think the Sixers are capable of winning a championship because they can't stay healthy. They're just not good enough to do that.
Right.
Like Embiid's having a very good year. He can't play into June. Like it's just impossible.
He can't jump. He can't.
But move. Can they for just 4 nights?
In
April, do it
with Maxey and Edgecombe, and you never
know.
But I'm not worried. I'm not worried. But yeah,
you don't have to be worried.
You're right. It's the rivalry there.
There's something there more than the Hawks. More than the Magic, more than the Raptors, all these other teams, which have got good years. Toronto's the 5 seed. They're 11 games over 500. They're playing better, but they're not beating the Knicks in a best of 7. It's just not happening.
But you know what? The Raptors have a lot of playoff experience, so like I wouldn't like dismiss them too much. And
No, they're pesky,
I'm
but I
always
don't.
gonna have a soft spot for RJ
Yeah,
Barrett
but
and
they're
Emmanuel
not. Yeah,
quickly. So like I just can't take it. But I know what you're saying. You know that those aren't like
right.
the Knicks rivalries. They have some real ones. They have the Pistons, they have the Sixers, and they have the Pacers
Yeah,
right now.
and maybe a
Cavs
little
aren't a rivalry.
Boston. A little
Yeah, and
Boston.
Boston. Yes, exactly. Yeah, for sure. And those are their rivalries. And I know people say rivalries are dead, but you know what? I think the Knicks have like a good 4, like you just said. So
Yeah.
I'm not worried about it, but it'll be tough. It won't be easy. Like when I say I'm not worried, I just think the Knicks will come out on top. Like I'm not scared of any team because I think the Knicks can be the favorite in any series. I'm just saying that, you know, it won't be easy. That's all.
last thing I have to say, and I do have to roll.
Yeah.
That my daughter turned 3 yesterday,
Happy
and
birthday.
in her lifetime, she is 0-12 versus the Knicks. And I'm hoping that because the
She's
clock
the Knicks'
turned,
good luck charm because the Knicks haven't lost the first round playoff series since she's been alive.
Unbelievable. And I don't want to. It's not her fault. It's just the stat. So we're changing that. We're changing that in March. I don't know how the Nets can do it, but they got to do it. Just put an end to it for me.
Yes.
I just thought that was an incredible stat.
Happy
Anyway,
birthday
this is
to her, and my wife is also due in a couple days for our second kid. So I don't know when. I hope the baby comes and everything's healthy, but I don't know when I'll be on the next one. But hopefully that's soon. And
live from the hospital.
Yeah, live from the hospital. I'm sure my wife will love that.
This will be a memorable 300.
Well, I'm just happy it's after the trade deadline that she waited at least for that. So I didn't have to worry about any of that stuff. Or it's before the playoffs, so it's like we're out of that. We'll be out of the hell of the infancy stage.
Yeah.
But final segments, Mike, your top of the 5 Nets rookies who has the highest stock right now.
I think it's Nolan. I think Traore. Although I do think Jaeger's got the bigger star potential.
Got it.
But like it's still so funny to me. Yeah, he is a horrible shooter. He is an incredible shooter. So
and that's all he does is shoot, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he's got to get better at some other parts of his game, but he is, and it's not just
scouting.
He's a good, whatever.
It's like
but
the Nolan Quickly thing, the C+ grade that he got from CBS Sports, and
people catch on to things. Like one person says something, and it's a narrative that builds when people don't even know or watch.
Right.
That's why I said, like, I don't watch BYU basketball. I'm not going to go out here and proclaim he's this. That wouldn't be right. I'm not
going to watch some YouTube highlights, and that's all you can do, right? Who knows?
So, and then I know your answer. Are the Knicks winning a championship?
Oh yes. Gun to your head. Mike, are the Knicks winning a championship?
No. This is Bad Weather Fans, episode 299. Alex, well, maybe we'll see you next week. Maybe not, but 300 is coming, and we'll talk to you later. All right.
All right, man. Let's go Knicks.